up, y'all? Kofi Kingston here, and I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks, depending on what that drink is, preferably non-alcoholic, you know?
How's it going? Healthy Warrior Shane.
Soda.
I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Maple syrup.
Fella.
I would never have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Welcome to the dive bar of the IWC. Welcome to Wrestling on the Rocks, episode 1. Again, I'm at Ref Marsh. With me today, the other half of the IIRonics. We got Kevlar on the rocks, man.
What's going on, everybody? How you been?
We'll see if Shakes joins us today. He's a bit of our wild card lately. Shows up when he can. But it's fun. I like having him drop in just randomly. So we'll see what happens. Kev, what are you drinking? What's going on there? You sound a little under the weather. I appreciate you coming through, hanging tough, making it happen.
Of course. Yeah, I'm just drinking some Crown Peach and some Arizona Arnold Palmer.
Oh, nice.
Peach Palmer.
How good does the Alka-Seltzer take to Crown Royal?
I don't know.
Just dropping a tablet in a little rocks glass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't be a bad idea right now.
No, not the worst. We don't have a ton of news this week. I don't think we had a ton of news last week. We're only starting. What? Say what?
So what's in your glass?
Oh yeah, I forgot. I'm having some of that ocean vodka and that old keto drink that I used to have, that Kios. It's the pear guava with a little bit of vodka in there. It's pretty nice. It's refreshing. It's good for the brain, I think. But
Yeah.
I don't know how to tell. But yeah, there wasn't a ton of news last week or this week. I mean, there's obviously all the Vince McMahon stuff. Vince McMahon's got more allegations coming out. It looks like he may have spent up to $12 million in hush money and in NDAs. I mean, obviously, we're not very close to the case, so it's tough to say. The only thing I noticed, though, was, I mean, it's a mess. It is a mess. And it does seem like, it feels like someone's trying to get Vince out of the company, right? Like, this feels like the most direct attack at Vince, the person, to get him out of the company that you could imagine, right? Because it's all these things leaking from the board and leaking from these friends, and it's like, this seems like they're trying to boot him, right? Because at some point, do we really get to a place where he can step back into power? You know what I mean? With the more and more of these kind of coming out, like, I think this may be his last stand, personally. And if that's true, does Stephanie and Triple H take over and run it the way that us wrestling fans have always imagined? Or does Nick Khan really hold a lot of that power? And does he really take over? And who knows what comes of it?
Yeah. I mean, we just gotta basically just sit back and wait.
Yeah, we're just all kind of watching, like, what's next?
Yeah.
I saw some people freaking out, saying that the stock was plummeting, and they said, "Well, this is it for Vince now. He's costing the shareholders way too much." And I went on and looked, because I sold my stock in WWE. I've talked about it a bunch of times on here that I had stock. I sold it all on the day that Nick Khan sold a bunch. So that's why the constant rumors of Nick Khan, or not Nick Khan, who's the TV guy? Kevin Dunn? Kevin Dunn sold a bunch. And a lot of people have been going back and forth like, oh, look, clearly insider trading knew this was coming. And I was like, they sold it on the day that it was at its highest in 3 years. Like, I also sold it. You know, like, sometimes you just know what your stock is doing and make plans accordingly, right?
Yeah, but you're a wrestling journalist. That is insider trading.
That's a good point. I am a journalist. Hashtag journalist. But so I went and looked at it, and it had only dropped about $1 that day. And I was like, it's not exactly a tailspin, and it's still $24 more than it was earlier in the year. Like, it's still doing really consistent, which I think is notable and interesting, that with all these things and with what seems to be most likely is going to end with Vince not being in charge anymore and out of the company and forced to retire, right? Like, I don't see how he just comes back and says, okay, that's all gone away. Like,
Yeah.
with
Back to
all
business.
that, yeah, back to business. With all that, I think it's interesting that the stock is remaining stable as it ever has. You know, the stockholders are not nervous about a WWE without Vince McMahon in charge, which is interesting.
I mean, you got to think that there has always had to be a fallback plan, especially because, Vince is older
That's
and
true.
stuff like that. And, if he, all of a sudden died randomly, unexpectedly, you would think that there was some kind of fallback in place. But,
That's a good point. That's a really good point. They might just be perceiving this the same way as if he was getting ill. Like, it was like, okay, well, we've been ready for this day as investors for a while. Like, that's true.
Yeah.
Oh, it's interesting. It's neat. We have no idea what's going on, but we'll see how it plays out, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
What was the other thing I saw? Oh, the other thing I saw I was going to tell you because I don't know if you saw it or not. Big E put out that his doctors are expecting him to make a full recovery, and that he won't need surgery to do so. And he had some. Say what?
I said, nice. I didn't hear that.
Yeah, he's not going to need surgery. He'll make 100% recovery, they say. But after the last test, he said now it's going to be a bunch of stuff, and we'll test again in a year, which means he's out for at least another year.
Damn.
It's crazy, man.
That sucks. Because I was like, not like legitimately thinking he was returning, but as a fan, like there's a couple times where I'm like, oh, Big E's going to come out right now. Like, oh, Big E's going to come out,
Yeah.
But for him to sit there and, like you said, another year at least, like that's insane.
Yeah, it sucks.
What would be cool is if they did like a Macho Man type of thing and just, or even like Samoa Joe, just had him as a commentator.
Oh yeah, I think he'd be great. He'd be great as a commentator. I'd love to see him on his presence in general. Make him a GM. You know what I mean? Like that would be cool to make him an official. Like I think he would be like Commissioner Foley. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Just outrageously entertaining and such a loud, bright personality that everyone's just happy to see, and still a presence. Like, but that's also us speaking from a fan perspective and not from obviously a medical perspective. Might not be good for him to be there either way. I don't know what traveling is like with a neck like that.
And that's the other thing is we don't know, like, obviously the severity of the injury, was bad, but, with something like that, they might just want to be like, hey, you need to stay away from any accidental bump that might even, occur. Whether it's, Kevin Owens, getting mad at him and grabbing him by the shirt or something.
Yeah, and you think about Daniel Bryan when he was going through the neck stuff and he was a GM, behind the scenes, he was miserable because all it did was remind him that he wasn't wrestling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that might not be the thing for him either, but I don't know. Justin Time's in the chat saying cheers to the dive bar of the IWC. Cheers to Justin Time.
Yep. Cheers.
Yeah, because I was also thinking when he was all like, oh, another test in a year, I was like, man, I mean, like I said, we are so ignorant to all of the medical stuff, but part of me was all like, man, I wonder if he did have surgery, if he'd be back sooner. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time,
Did you say he'll be back, or they'll check in a year, or they'll check next year?
In a year.
Okay. So then if they say, next year, I mean, that's, what, 7 months away?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the way he said it was like, okay, they'll test in a year. Or maybe next year. I don't know. Maybe he's being sly with his words. But the impression I got was a solid year of him being out, but no surgery. And that's the other thing is, like, in my mind, I'm all like, oh, do you opt for the surgery to get quicker turnaround time? Maybe there is no difference in turnaround time. I have no idea. He's making decisions that's best for him, and nothing but respect to that. But like you said, dude, from a fan, I'm just all like, no, I want you back now.
Yeah. Get your ass back in there.
Yeah. But, I mean, that's what happens when you're beloved, right?
Yeah, exactly.
People speculate a bunch just to get you back, and you're sitting at home like, leave. Like, that's my favorite part about Bailey on Twitter right now. The amount of people who are all like, come back, and then she just will tweet back at them, respect the injured. Leave me alone.
But it just goes, I'm not going to throw any names out there, but it goes to, ones that, we aren't fans of, and, other people aren't fans of as well. Like, I can think of a few people that have been out for a while, and it's like, when I actually think of how long they've already been out, it's like, damn, they might be coming back soon. That sucks.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see, man. We'll see how it plays out. That was kind of the only news things I had. I just want to let you know about the Big E thing and speculate about who's going to take over. Do you think that Stephanie will truly take over the day by day if Vince gets outed and Triple H will do the creative stuff, or do you think that Nick Khan's going to do whatever he wants?
Well, it's all in the the inner workings of things. Like, I personally would hope it's Triple H and Steph. It just feels like that's the right move.
Yeah.
But if, once again, with all the wild speculation and rumors of, they're selling the company, this and that, then if that was the case, then it's like, well, this would be the time to do it.
That's true. Now's the time. Sell it to The Rock. Let The Rock get in charge.
I mean, it wouldn't be terrible.
It would not be.
He already owns the XFL.
Yeah, that's what I mean, man. It's just another drop in the bucket for him. Well, dude, let's talk some of the shows. Let's see what's been going on ever since the fallout. I know last week we kind of sort of got caught up a little bit. We were all over the place, things we liked and such. Smackdown opened up with the return of Roman Reigns. I want to know, before we get into what he talked about even, at this point, Roman won the titles at Mania, defended the title once against Riddle on SmackDown a couple weeks ago, and looks like the next defense will be against Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. I've seen a lot of criticism about Roman as a champion right now, and I was wondering what you think about it. Because I know you've always been pretty vocal about wanting a champion there every fucking week.
Yeah, I mean, they don't need to be there every fucking week, but they need to fucking be there.
Yeah.
Do your fucking job. Like, I don't know, I am getting...
It's your job.
Yeah.
Do your fucking job, champ. Show up.
I mean, it is getting kind of old, and I'm not even saying, don't get me wrong, I want to see him compete and stuff like that, but just him not being there at all kind of sucks. But then when he does show up, he doesn't even compete. That makes it even worse.
Yeah. It does look like he did one or two live shows this week, though. There was some leaked footage of that.
Oh, nice.
Where he's in a couple matches, so.
I was going to say, you would think he should, storyline-wise, even just put him up against a fucking jobber. It's just hey, I need a tune-up. I've been, I don't want any ring rust. Have him just go out there and Superman punch one person and pin him and walk away.
Mm-hmm. When I went to Raw during Brock Lesnar's Universal Championship reign, where he showed up, people said never. Brock was the dark match, and he wasn't on the show at all, or talked about, or even announced to the crowd. Just at the end, Big Show came out and said he wanted an open challenge, and then Brock's music hit, and he came out with the title and F5'd Big Show and left. It was just seconds long, but everyone's just all You could do shit like that. Have someone else go out there and do an open challenge. Just have Roman go out there and Superman punch someone.
Yeah.
I like this reign, and I think they're just diving into a proven formula. When Brock Lesnar was champion, the crowd hated him more and more, and it became such a big deal when Brock lost the title because finally the championship is back, right? It was such an easy way to play the audience against the champion. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I don't want this every time a heel champion is champion.
I don't think it'll be every time. I think it's just going to be these high-level, next-level, God Mode-esque type characters. The Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, even The Rock when he won the title at that one Mania, or I forget what was Survivor Series, SummerSlam, some shit. He won the title so that way you could take it into WrestleMania with him and Cena. When you have these big celebrity stars or these big unbeatables like Brock and Roman, you can do that, especially if you want them to be heels, and it'll just help build that fervor for the next guy,
Yeah.
But you're right. I think that they did it with every heel champion every time, it would get pretty fucking weird and lame pretty quick. But I think I think it also puts Roman in that special level of we have to work the crowd a different way because they do like him and they are respecting him. And if we want people to cheer when he loses, we need to start building up resentment from the audience.
Yeah, but see, that's at least with when Brock was champion, you still had your main guys out there vying for a title shot.
Yeah.
And especially right now, I think I don't like it because it's, well, Brock's back, he gets a title shot. I've beaten everyone, he gets a title shot. And there's like a long old list of people that Roman hasn't faced in his, this reign. But, when you don't have the main event with the title, like, even in the conversation, not necessarily in the picture, like, it's weird and it loses its luster. And, for him to have both belts right now and doing it, it's even fucking worse.
Yeah, I know.
These, like, kind of crappy main events, every so often.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too, that at least during the Brock era, there was another championship you could kind of put your sights on and focus on. With this one, I feel like they're building up more resentment because he has both championships, which you would think would make the Universal and Intercontinental Championships that much more important. Because when Brock was gone with the Universal, they even made a storyline out of it with Seth. Well, with him gone, we'll see you in 6 months, I guess. Until then, I'm not going to let this brand go without a fighting champion. And he went for the Intercontinental Championship. He held it, and he did the Open Challenge. Like, they made story out of it. They're not really doing that here.
No. And then with Gunther, with his Open Challenge, and he's like, no, I don't do that. And then he didn't even have a match. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? Like,
so funny.
The champs can just get the belt and fucking sit back and relax.
Yeah, dude. It's time off. Yeah. What was it? Shinsuke went up against Kaiser is what it was. Yeah. But I also... you and I didn't talk about it at the time because we haven't talked about... we haven't reviewed our live event experience. But the Tucson show, did you notice that the semi-main event was an Intercontinental title match that was not advertised?
Yeah.
Gunther against Ricochet for the Intercontinental Championship was one of the best matches of the night. Yeah. Absolutely killer. Which, I mean, it was hard to say. A lot of those matches were so good.
They were really good.
But the only match that went on after that was Seth versus Riddle. Which also was not advertised.
And that was fucking amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing. And it did make me think when I saw the Intercontinental Champion come out, when I saw Gunther come out, I was like, oh, this makes sense. This is why you have the IC title on a guy like Gunther, because he can show up and it makes an impression on the crowd. You know what I mean? Where if you're not going to have the world title, and JustinTime says in the chat, Roman never goes to Raw, but he has their championship. Has the Brock Lesnar style schedule to where he's barely there. It's honestly gone on long enough. Roman's reign has run its course. Yes and no. Yeah, I mean, it has. And I think that every day he doesn't lose it, people are going to just be that much more into it when he loses it. So I think that,
they need to, there could be so much storyline there. Like, if you actually had a GM of Raw instead of Adam Pearce, being the whatever his title is.
Yes, I think Roman needs to make as many appearances as he's making on SmackDown, he needs to make on Raw. Like, if he's on SmackDown this week, he should be on Raw next week. And then he could be gone from both for 2 months. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that'd be terrible.
Yeah,
but I think if you have a GM on Raw, they could be sitting there saying, hey, we want our title back. Either make him defend it here or, strip him of it. Or, or we're going to find a interim champion type of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Who do they really have that's in that world title contentionship right now? I mean, theoretically, you have Raw? Riddle on Raw or SmackDown. Realistically, who do they have that you go, that guy should be getting that world title any day? I mean, Seth and Riddle come to mind as potentials, but they don't.
Yeah. AJ can always hold it. Like
AJ always could.
Awesome. Like, yeah.
Lashley could, but he's also like doing his own thing.
He's the U.S. champion now.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I think it'd be a cool time to, do that with like Shinsuke or somebody like that. That the fans have been longing for him to actually have a world title run. Like,
it's true, but at the same time, you like as much as we think of like who could have a world title, you also got to think about who could take the world title from Roman.
But see, I think if you, excuse me, I think if you have Shinsuke, you build up Shinsuke as, let's say, the interim champion, and hey, he's got this belt, this and that, and I'm the interim champion, this and that, and then Roman goes in and comes back, like you said, after a month or two. And then just steamrolls him, and he's like, "Nope, this is, you don't get it." Like,
yeah,
that brings heat to Roman, and like, you build up Shinsuke.
That's true. Taekwon in our chat says Seth freaking Rollins. It says I'm dreading the day Omos gets a title shot. It's gonna be so good, dude. They should put it on Omos.
I mean,
just to watch the whole internet burn, dude.
Yeah.
It'll be worse than the moment that Jinder won, which, for the record, I love. That Jinder is former world champion.
Looking back at it, I'm like, all right. Like,
yeah.
I hated it at the time, but now
in the moment, worst thing ever.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's what happened with Omos.
But see, I think I would love it if, like, obviously you couldn't do it against Roman, but like, how hilarious would it be? Almost like an accident where he like falls on the champion.
Yeah.
And, the champion can't get up because Omos is so big.
Yeah. JustinTime says, it's just incredibly contradicting how Roman was standing up for WWE when Brock was champ and was gone for X amount of time, but now just pretty much does the same thing Brock did. Yeah, dude, that's what I'm saying. I think that's the heel work of it all. I think it's just him being an asshole that makes you go like, fuck that, dude. Also, Justin, if you want a link, I'll throw it in. You can jump into the show. I don't mind. Do you mind, Kev, if Justin just jumps in?
Uh-uh.
Yeah.
No,
he's
I don't
probably gonna go. which in time was it, Jeremy or Justin? Because I don't know about one of them. I just don't remember which one. Taekwon says JBL title reign was pretty random, but in retrospect, JBL's heel work was excellent. Yeah, that's what I think. That there's a lot that you kind of go back on, and I think it's easier to appreciate stuff after the fact. In the moment, I think we all get so bent out of shape about how we would do things and what we want, and then in retrospect, you go, "Oh, Jinder's the champion was easy to hate. Like, I hated him, and Andy's got that."
I just didn't like that Randy was putting him over. That was my big thing.
I know, that was great. That was so great. I remember you hated it.
Yeah.
So good, dude.
Oh my God. Especially that Punjabi prison match.
Oh, that one was bad, dude. That was kind of a bad match because it's just the prison, dude.
Yeah.
Like the way they did it. Although the Singh brothers and their monster fucking bumps off of that, definitely notable. Those guys are so good. I'm shocked that realistically AEW has not tried to bring in the Bollywood boys.
Yeah.
I think as a tag team they would fit perfectly in AEW. I think they would have some of the best matches out there in the tag division that they have, and I think that they would be incredible to teach a lot of their young tag teams how to do this stuff on TV. You know what I mean? Like, I think them as a team is so invaluable that I can't understand why AEW hasn't grabbed them. But they must not be interested because he grabs everyone they want, you know?
Yeah.
Taekwon says Punjabi. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, they said that they didn't want washed up WWE talent, so.
Well, but then look at everyone they signed.
I'm just kidding.
Taekwon says Punjabi prison is a gimmick with no good matches in it. Yeah, I mean, I think you get cool moments in some, but no good match because it's so weird and confusing. And it's one of those weird ones where because they paint the steel to look like bamboo, it looks like it hurts less than it probably hurts.
Right?
I mean, everything they do when they bump into it, you go, it's bamboo. Shit's flexible. But it turns out it's steel painted that way, and you're like, well, fuck, man, like, These guys are killing themselves, and we're like, eh. Look at this pillow fight, and the pillow's filled with concrete. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it looks cool. Like, you
Looks
look
great.
at it, like, oh, cool. But then, like, the weird, we got to escape this part, then, then you have to escape the bigger part. And, yeah.
Yeah. For sure, man. For sure.
Then you got Great Khali hanging around.
So when you think about like talent that could take a world title or universe title off Roman believably, I guess Riddle and Seth Rollins are the only two that really come to mind to me, except maybe Bobby, who's the U.S. champion.
I mean, I still stand by AJ. I think AJ can.
Yeah, I mean he could, and I guess it wouldn't take too much work, but it would take work. He's not ready in storyline or character.
Oh, right now, no, not at all. Yeah.
They'd have to give him a reason to be passionately against Roman. Because his match against Brock was killer, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. JustinTime says he's on his way. I gotta make sure that I don't have it like locked up or something. Hold on 1 second. All right, cool. He'll be here whenever. Let's see. And then in the chat, I think it's great how Seth can lose most of his feuds but still be seen as a title contender. But I think it's partly because of how the Roman Seth match went. You know what I mean? Like it went in such a way where it's all like, yeah, Seth's gonna win this one. So the fact that he didn't just makes it more believable that he could. Justin, welcome back to the dive bar, man.
What's up?
Can you hear us?
I don't know.
What was that? Say it again. Oh, man, he's choppy as hell. Oh, we lost him. Well, always good to have a cameo. We'll see. Maybe he has to restart. But yeah, I guess. Do you think... So here's the other deal then. During Roman's promo in the beginning of SmackDown, after it's over, Theory comes out, does a lap around the ring holding the Money in the Bank briefcase, and fucking jets out of there. Given that whole teaser of, I'm always looming, psychological games by Theory. And you kind of double back on the Brock thing too. What do you think about this? What do you think?
I understand, that's the whole point of Money in the Bank is, the when and where and stuff like that, but I hated that stupid little lap around the thing, and even at the beginning when Roman first goes out there and he's at the entranceway, and
yeah,
the commentators, oh, is he gonna cash in right now? It's like, no, he's outnumbered 3-1 at the current moment, and Roman's just standing there.
Yeah, he definitely wasn't going to cash in, but I did feel like that it felt like you could have done more with that segment with him.
Yeah.
Like the fact he just did a lap and ran away, I was all like, is that psychological games or is it just make him look weird?
Yeah. To me, it made him look weird.
Because I think that if he had ran up and... Remember when Seth was getting like double teamed and triple teamed and he was like froggishly getting out of all of it and was able to hightail it without getting hit by the Usos in them?
Yeah.
If Theory had done something like that, like knocked out one of the Usos with the briefcase and then ducked under Roman and then slid past the other Uso and then does a circle around Heyman and then darts off to the top, it'd be like, oh shit, this guy might be a danger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this guy is much more slick than we thought.
Well, even it doesn't even need to be that intricate. Like, I think if he would have just went out down the ramp, stood on the apron, and kind of just showed it, to Roman's face, and kind of just smiled and laughed. Maybe even took a quick selfie, and then the Usos try and get him, and he just jumps down.
I think that's true.
But yeah, that weird lap thing. Like, I wanted one of the Usos to be behind one of the corners and just super kick it. I think that would have been awesome.
Justin, you're back. How you doing?
Fantabulous. Much better now.
There
All
we
right.
go. There we go. So you're loving Roman as the champion? Want him to stay that way forever?
Ah, please no. Come on. I enjoyed it for the longest time, but it's starting to just decline big time.
Yeah, it's dragged on. It's ran its course, and now that he's missing time, it's like even worse.
It's just even worse now. Yeah.
You know what's crazy though? Like realistically, if you kind of like circle back a little bit, it's taken you almost 2 years to get sick of him as a champion. You know what I mean? Like you're like, look, I was on the bus for about 2 years, but now I don't know.
I mean, that's the good thing out of it. At least it took a long time.
Yeah, that's how good it is that even people who are sick of it, it took them 2 years to get sick of it. What'd you think of the Theory thing? Him doing a lap around Roman and running off. I thought he could have done anything else to make himself look like a threat. That's why he just made him look like Ralph from Simpsons.
The whole thing with him just coming out first and then just standing there, and then they cut to a commercial and he was just gone. And I was like, well, what was the point of that? Yeah. And then he ran out again, and I was like, okay, cool, you were literally just there. Why did you go back to run back out again? That just didn't make any sense at all.
Yeah. I think I just like to see Theory be a little more physical in all this, because then he also taunted on Brock, and we can kind of jump between SmackDown and Raw, but because on Brock he comes out too and says that he's gonna beat the snot out of both of them or one of them after SummerSlam, and then Brock's like, well, let's fight now. And like the only thing that was dumb about Brock saying let's fight now is nothing that Theory said was that he wanted to fight Brock. He just said he was going to take advantage of a situation after you're in another fight. And he's like, well, we could settle this now. Well, we can't. Because I can't cash in on you now. You don't have a title. You know what I mean? Like, there's no settling this now.
Fight anybody at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, Brock's the one to fight. I'm into that.
After Gable and Otis show up, he's just like, I'm ready. Let's go. Anybody. Just come out running out there. I'm ready for anything at this point. I was like, all right, well...
Dude, that F5 on Otis is fucking ridiculous.
It was crazy watching him pick him up. He was like picking up a child. It was easy for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was
no effort.
Otis just took it so bad though, because he like flops like the Big Show, and I was like, damn it.
That's true. That's true. Like a pancake. Yeah, the only other person who's ever lifted Otis with such ease was Bianca Belair. When I think about it.
Yeah.
So do you think, because this is the talk back and forth, and since that's a segment and the topic we're on anyways, do you think Theory's actually going to cash in at SummerSlam, or do you think that this is the big swerve where we tell you it's definitely going to happen every week and then we don't do it? Or is the big swerve we tell you it's going to happen every week so you think that there's no way they're going to do it and then they do it?
Such a tough one. When Brock talked about the whole thing when Theory showed the video of Brock taking him off, like throwing him off the top of the chamber pod, I went, well, that would make a lot of sense. If Theory cashes in on Brock, it would have to be Brock winning at SummerSlam. Because then it would be Theory taking advantage of perfect opportunity and getting redemption on Brock. Mm-hmm. Him beating Roman, to me, doesn't really make a lot of sense. It's just literally using Money in the Bank for what it is.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just don't think they'll cash in. I can't see Theory cashing in successfully on Roman or Brock. I feel like he's going to save it for Clash of the Castle, honestly.
And Brock can't win, otherwise we get another Brock Roman match.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kev, I hope they don't. Especially because I hate when they talk about it. Like, it's supposed to be like, I like the surprise, I like the pop. When Biggie says, hey, I'm going to cash in on Raw, like, that was stupid. I hate it. So for them to be talking about it the last, a few weeks, even before Money in the Bank. Like, oh, this is a perfect opportunity at SummerSlam.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that's, I want them to do the exact opposite.
I think it's like that whole thing of like saying like when like Judgment Day was going out there and they were like and Edge was naming names and everything. It was like, well, those people clearly aren't going to be in there. So I think that's one of those situations where it's like Theory saying I'm going to cash in at SummerSlam. Probably not going to happen at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Also, to Kev's point, I think that as viewers, we understand Money in the Bank and we understand what a last man standing match. We should be the ones hyping up this would be a perfect time for Austin Theory to do this. But by Austin Theory throwing it out there, it allows us to be a little more brain dead while we're watching. Yeah, plus commentators.
Yeah.
Plus Seth. Dude, I did love that bit though, where where Theory came over to Seth and asked him for his advice, and Seth's like, "You came to the right place."
Yeah.
Which is also cool because Theory was his disciple for a short period of time.
It was nice to see those two back together for a little bit.
Little father-son moment. Always good.
Don't worry, my child. I will teach you how to cash in Money in the Bank.
Yeah. And then that also highlighted to me the fact that it wasn't completely lost on me, but I feel like I had thought about it and forgot about it, and I thought that was a nice way to kind of like tease it enough. It's the same match that Seth cashed in on. Theory is asking Seth how to cash in on Brock versus Roman.
Yeah.
Be crazy, actually.
Yeah. So it makes me also wonder.
For Theory cashing in on either one, on both of them, like in the middle of the match like that, because honestly, I'm just all for anybody but Lesnar or Reigns taking those titles. I'd be all in for Theory taking it.
And what if Seth comes in and interferes to make sure that Theory gets it? Then you can have a Theory Austin or a Theory Rollins right on the other side of it and give both Brock and Roman time off afterwards.
That'd be such a weird one, though, because it'd be like the first ever triple threat last man standing match. How the hell would you even do that match?
You just go in with a briefcase and beat the shit out of both of them.
Yeah, and then you just pin one of them because it's a briefcase, so it's different now.
Well, no, because you just hand it to him and then you're like, all right, start counting.
Yeah. Count to 10. That's a good point. Good point. You all see like Roman trying to lift up Brock and shit. And Brock's just heavy and down. Get up, you son of a bitch. Yeah, that could be cool. Let's see. What else happened in here? What do you guys think about the new Vicious Viking Raiders?
I love it.
I do too. Easily. I just love the Viking Raiders altogether. I don't care if they're vicious, goofy. I just love the Viking Raiders.
They're so bad.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're amazing talents, but like this new, like just that little minimal face paint that they have on reminds me a lot of like the early Road Warriors.
Yeah.
And like I think I love it. I just like they look mean. They've always looked like the part. So now that they're playing it, it's like cool. Like this is what we needed.
Actually.
Yeah. When we were in the at Smackdown, the woman next to me had never been to a wrestling show before, which was a whole other story. But one of the things that was notable was when the Viking Raiders came out, she was like, God damn. She's like, those dudes are huge and look real mean. And I was like, hey, get meaner. Like, give it a minute. So, yeah, they're quite a presence. I love it. I do think it's funny they keep referring to them as the Vicious Viking Raiders. I'm like, okay. I don't know what we need the alliteration for, but here we are.
Keep reminding everybody that they're vicious.
Yes, they're vicious. Trust me. Let's see. And then Woods and Kofi came out talking about their butts.
Kicking.
I thought I was going to hate this promo as they kept talking about butts, but as it went on, it became, I just loved it more and more as it went. Those guys are high-level entertainers. They somehow come off serious when not being serious at the same time. You're laughing and thinking, I think they want to fight.
Yeah.
See, I hated it. I hated the New Day coming out. I can't stand listening to them. They're just too ridiculous right now. Like you say, Street Profits are like over the top. They're way too over the top there. Like it's.
But they had their ass kicking tickets. They had to cash in.
Yeah. Well,
what are they supposed to do with ass kicking tickets?
Tickets literally got their asses kicked. So.
Yeah, that one backfired on them. That's for sure. Did you see how they found someone in the crowd to give it to?
Yeah.
Wait, did they really? That's hysterical.
It was amazing. Right before they go in, you see Kofi and Xavier both kind of look in opposite directions, and right before they ran in, they ran straight over on the opposite sides to someone specific, handed them the tickets, and ran in. So someone in the front row is going home with an ass-kicking ticket. 2 people, matter of fact. So, it's fantastic.
It's like a Willy Wonka golden ticket.
Yes.
There's only 2 in the world.
It's too cringe right now, and I just watching them get beat up by the Viking Raiders makes everything better for me.
Yeah, I don't know where we're going with it. Do you think the Viking Raiders could be the one to take the titles off the Usos? I think they believably could.
It'd be nice.
I'd like it. Viking Raiders are actually one of my absolute favorite tag teams in the company. And when you talk about underutilized, they're truly in that category. Unlike some people who are utilized every week all the time and just aren't champion, and people go underutilized, and you go, no, they're on TV more than the champ. They're fine, but like Miz, absolutely not underutilized. Absolutely utilized the way that he's probably maximized his utility. But Viking Raiders, absolutely underutilized. Yeah, so I don't know. I could see them taking it. I could see them being the new number ones. I did want to ask, because we talked about it a little bit a minute ago, though, but more specifically, Gunther and Ludwig. When Shinsuke comes out, wins against Ludwig, Gunther goes on a fucking tear and just smacks the ever-living shit out of Ludwig, yelling at him. I mean, it's some heel shit to do.
Love it. Love it.
I was
it's
jealous.
Gunther pretty much saying, hey, you're not going to step up and beat his ass. Well, guess what? I'm going to beat your ass.
It was high-level evil, wasn't it? It was like, spare no one.
It's a good thing. Make him look like an absolute, threat to everything.
Yeah. What were you about to say, Kev?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say I loved it, too. He was chopping the shit out of him. I think he even made him bleed a little bit. I was trying to look closely. But, just with him out there and doing that to him, that's some, different level heel shit.
Yeah, that was a spare the rod kind of, you know what I mean? That was like a good lord, there's no one safe. His best comrade crossed him by losing a match, and he just high-level embarrassed and beat the shit out of him in front of everyone. Ooh. Good lord. That was... As much as I love Gunther and everything he's doing, I'm always like, yay! I was seeing that, and after the second one, I was like, God.
Leave him alone.
Yeah. He didn't do anything that bad.
It reminds me of Raven. It reminds me of Raven in TNA, because he used to do that. He had a group in TNA, and every time they lost a match, he'd publicly cane them. He'd give them Singapore cane shots in front of the crowd. It was like, wow, that is so reminiscent right there, and I loved it.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's easy to boo. But then Gunther and Ricochet live was incredible. Go ahead, Kev.
Yeah. I was just going to say that I loved Corbin on commentary here.
Oh, my God.
Matt McAfee and
yes.
Him and Corey on the desk. That was awesome.
Amazing, dude. I forgot. I was trying to remember there was something here. That's it. Dude, Corbin on commentary was so fucking good here, dude. Saying that he could do what Pat does, he could do it better. Shinsuke comes out and he starts screaming like an idiot, jumps on the table and being like, I'm just so excited. Fucking air guitaring with Corey. It's so fucking funny. When I saw this too, I was like, oh, the whole Shinsuke thing here is so Corbin can do this.
Yeah.
And then Shinsuke had a good match against Kaiser, and I was like, well, this is win-win. And then Gunther beat the shit out of Ludwig, and I was like, we got a lot done in one segment.
Yeah.
That is truly a three birds, one basket kind of a deal.
I love how Corbin left after that whole thing, too, because it's almost like he was traumatized by it. Like, oh, dear God, I'm a little concerned here. I think I'm just going to leave.
Yeah, I better get out of here. Oh, yeah, here's a couple more things that I want to throw out there. Liv Morgan doing her little shtick. Ronda Rousey and Natty coming out. I want to know, because I know Justin can be pretty harsh and wrong about a lot of things. All terrible wrestling takes. He's got it in his blood.
Pump that stuff in there.
I want to know what you think about these three women in this particular segment. And then me and Kev will set the record straight. What do you think, Justin?
I mean, I didn't hate it. I just wasn't really delving into it too much, because I was just Liv's out here celebrating, and then Natty and Ronda end up having a match again, and I was just like, okay, well, I'm amazed Ronda's even back here.
Yeah,
she came out wobbling, so I was surprised she was there. But then she came out, they threw the match together, and I'm like, okay, well, this is a thing. And then Natty pretty much got squashed. I was like, holy hell.
Yeah. I felt like all three women did really good on the mic, though. I felt that even as much as people try to shit on Ronda, and she does come off a little bit, she does sound different than everyone else. But I think it's because she sounds very conversational. A lot of people sound like loud conversation or wrestling loud, or are they saying their things believably? But Ronda comes out like she's just having a conversation, and I think that people aren't taking to that very well. But even this, where she said that, you cashed in on me and congratulations, that's the point. You know what I mean? Or I forget how she worded it, but she worded it in a really nonchalant, like, hey, you did the thing. You did the thing you're supposed to do. Good on you. She also came off as threatening to Liv and said, enjoy it because, it's easier to take than it is to retain. And I was like, nice, well enough, short line. She had a short line to Natty. I thought all three sounded very, very good here.
Yeah.
It wasn't the worst. It was just fine.
Yeah, it wasn't terrible, but to me there was something that just didn't click or hit for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I did think it was hilarious when Ronda did use that line, it's easier to win it than retaining it. And I was like, they document how Liv has struggled to even get it.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, that was the easy part.
Yes. Yes. It was funny also coming from Ronda, who showed up and won immediately and then held it for a very long time. Yeah. So I did feel like there's a little contradiction here where Liv had an incredibly hard time getting it. You had a very easy time getting it, and now you're all like, oh, let me tell you what's hard. And you're like, you don't know what you're talking about. Historically, in kayfabe, It would have been funny if Liv looked at her and said, what? From you of all people?
Mm-hmm.
How many days were you in before you just took the title off of someone while they had their back turned? Like, what?
Yeah.
But
the only thing people pick apart with Ronda is that she stumbles over her own words too much.
Yes.
Like how she was just when
she forgot the city.
They were in Texas, right, for that, and then she was just yeah, we're in somewhere in Texas, and I was just like, oh, Ronda's stumbling, but she's not the worst promo. She just gotta take her time when she speaks. She just talks too fast sometimes. She's like, where were we again? Oh, that's right.
I think she's also tired of yelling into the mic, because when she did that before, the crowd booed her out of the building. I think at this point, she just talks into the mic normally and said, you guys are going to listen or you're not, and I'm not going to fight for it anymore. Which I don't personally have a problem with, It's, do you want to see the show or do you want to take over the show? What are you here to do? And she's kind of challenging the audience every time she speaks with that. And I think that's pretty fucking commendable. But, ballsy, I love Liv Morgan as champion. I thought Natty came out and did a good thing, even though she got her ass handed to her by Ronda. We do have Liv versus Natalya next week, and I'm excited about that. I'm really into the Liv as a champion thing. I think that there's a lot there for a while. And I really hope they leave it on her. I hope Ronda doesn't take it.
I don't think Ronda does. I think Liv gets another big win over her. Just think, she beat her when she was not full not full health. Just think she's gonna face her at full health. Well, kinda at full health. Because by the way it's looking with her knee, she's still hobbling around on it.
True.
But it's an actually mostly prepared Ronda. And she could beat Ronda Rousey, which she should. That's pretty big for her.
Yeah, you got to solidify the title win.
Yeah,
strong victory.
I think the same. She needs to beat her and stuff like that. The only thing I didn't like was they kept talking about how injured Ronda is, but yet she doesn't have a knee brace. It's kind of stupid.
That's her same knee she's had thousands of surgeries on too, right?
I think
so. I'm
so.
not mistaken, right?
Probably. So maybe it's a bionic knee and it doesn't need a brace. Just needs a good hard reset, If you have the knee brace on it, maybe there's too many magnets. It offsets the whole thing and goes twisted. You know what I mean? I wonder if, because a lot of people have been speculating that now's the time for Bayley to come back, and SummerSlam's the one to do it. Have Liv and Ronda, and then Bayley come out, and then boom, you have Liv versus Bayley as a program. Especially with all the Liv talking about how no one wants this title than me, no one loves this title more than I love it. No one in the history has ever wanted it more than me. Well, the longest reigning SmackDown Women's Champion might have a bone of contention in there. I just don't know if I want Bayley's big return to be to lose against Liv. It wouldn't be the worst thing, obviously, but I almost wonder if it's not played out, if there's a way you could do it delicately and still make it work. If you do a Becky Bianca style story with Liv and Bayley, where Bayley comes back and screws Liv, and Liv works herself up to a Bayley Liv WrestleMania moment, and Liv gets the big win there.
It almost feels like it could end up being the Bianca thing, though. How Becky came back and then beats her, and it just feels like they pulled the rug out from under Bianca. Yeah. So why put Liv in that situation where
because it works.
Bayley pretty much has to win coming back, but you're gonna pull the rug out from under her already? That's not gonna really help much.
It helps incredibly. It worked. That's how you build the ultimate underdog. You screw them over by that asshole who's been on top forever anyways. Bianca's big win over Becky was massive at Mania. And Liv getting a huge moment at Mania against Bayley would be just as big, especially if she finally gets to the top of the mountain. Finally. And immediately gets knocked the fuck down because this person came back. Because Bayley's finally ready to just take the throne back. Fuck. That'll get a lot of boos on Bayley. And it'll get a lot more people behind Liv. And all the people who were saying with Bianca during that time, oh, look, they just pushed Bianca to the back of the line. She deserves better. I can't believe this is what we're doing. Look at Bianca out here every week against nobody here and there. And they're because she's out there every week reminding you that she's here and fighting and getting herself back. You could do that with Liv and have a massive victory over Bayley at Mania. She's the ultimate underdog, I think. You could have a Daniel Bryan-style underdog with Liv Morgan. Except she's not the greatest wrestler in the history of the world, but she is that beloved, is what I'm saying.
She's not awful at all. I think
she's very good.
I think she's gotten better so much.
Yes.
My God.
She's very good. But no one's saying, if you want to see the greatest technical wrestler of all time, watch Liv Morgan. That's not a knock on her. She's fantastic. But she's not catch as catch can. She's not Daniel Bryan. She's not the Zack Sabre Jr. That's just a different conversation. That's not to undermine any of those of those or her. She is top 10 in the entire women's industry right now, I think. I'm just saying the big difference between Daniel Bryan and her is strictly the technical part.
Yeah.
The beloved part, the fan reaction part, I think that's all the same, and I think you could ride that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just for different reasons. Her charisma's so off the charts that, Yeah, I don't know. I was just Just wondering if you guys had thoughts on the whole Bailey thing.
See, when Bailey comes back, I want her to come back as the hugger. Or
Doctor of Hugonomics.
Yeah.
See, I kind of want Ding Dong Bailey back.
Ding Dong Hug Low.
Hug Low.
Yeah. Ding Dong Hug Low. Yep. A little of both.
See, I think if you bring back, Bailey as a face, and then she can, make the turn and, back to the Ding Dong real quick. And that's maybe how she screws Liv out of the title.
Yeah. Hugger or Ding Donger is the question.
Ding Donger.
Ding Donger?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's a little bit of maybe we speculated too much on Bailey's return for someone who's not back yet, but I do want to see what happens there. I want to know. I don't know if you and I or anyone's talked about it much. Max Dupree and his Maximum Male models come out, balls in hand, balls in pockets, balls in baskets, sack of balls, tennis balls collection. These guys were balls heavy as they modeled Marseille and Mansois. I don't know.
That was a lot of ball conversation.
There's a lot of balls, dude. There were so many balls there. Fuzzy balls.
Balls deep on it.
I think it's pretty cool because I do think that watching it, I think this will go down very similarly in the zeitgeist as the Spirit Squad, as just a god-awful gimmick that I can't believe they would strap anyone with. And I think that all three of these guys have the potential to come out Dolph Ziggler style on the other side, saying, even though the gimmick was shital, it was executed perfectly by these people who got it over anyways. I think if anyone can get this kind of shit over, it's Max Dupree. But I'm getting nervous about it, I'll be honest.
I mean, they're getting legitimate heat, obviously, out of the whole thing, and that's what you want from your heels. Like, they need to do something else.
Yep.
Soon before they, run that into the ground. Because I mean, remember Lacey, how she used to come out to that siren and walk out and then walk back.
Yep.
And it was like, first couple times it's like, all right, whatever. And then afterwards it was just like, this is fucking stupid.
Yeah.
And I think they need to toe the line on when to pull it and actually have them compete.
Yes. A match needs to happen sooner than later at this point. Because there's only so many 10-minute segments of looking at someone's balls that we can handle before we go, okay, I guess when they come out, I'll go take a break. You know what I mean? Like, that's what you're running the risk of. Not the idea that people will stop hating it, because they're going to continue to hate it and boo it if they're in the audience. But what you're going to start running the risk of is people realizing this is going to be 5 to 10 minutes. They have time to walk away. You know what I mean? You're going to get people...
Go to the bathroom breaks.
Yep.
The concession.
Yep. People are going to start saying, oh, I get what this is going to be. It's going to be fine. I know I hate it. I know I'm booing. I'm going to go to the concessions. I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'm going to go start my car. Whatever. Like, that's what they're running the risk of doing, I think, if they do this much longer without a match.
Yeah.
I sadly feel like they've already hit that level, though, which is pretty bad.
That's what I mean. This coming week, they're going to have to do something. Because we've seen it twice now, and that's like plenty.
Friday. I think they did Friday. I think they hit that mark of just people are going to hate this at this point, because I for sure was not a fan of it. I was just like, I don't need runway freaking models right now. I want to see some wrestling. Like, this just didn't do it for me at all. And it's already got me just... I was like, I'll give it a chance. When he first came up, when Max Dupree first shows up, I go, okay, I'll give this a chance here. But the first thing you give me is tennis freaking showcase because Wimbledon's going on. So you're like, whoa, tennis, this is a smart idea. Let's go with that. And it's just, it just didn't do it for me. I was just, it already feels like it's turned me against it already. And it's just disappointing.
I'm not going to say my juices weren't titillated, because they definitely were. But at this point, how many times are you going to titillate my juices before I have to go juice my tittles? You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to just take a break.
Juice
You know what I
my
mean?
tittles.
Yeah.
You gotta get it out.
Yeah, you're going to have to get it out at a certain point. You know what I mean?
Oh my God, that's great.
See, I'm thinking like I don't know what their schedule is, but you would think that they're leading up to like a city that they're going to be in that's like a fashion city, like in New York or in LA or Miami or something like that.
Yeah.
But then who do you have them go up against?
That's what I don't know. That's the part that I'm sitting there saying, this is why it's exactly where Justin said. Where we're at that point now where something's got to happen, because I already know the next time I see it, I've got 10 minutes to take care of what I need to, because I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I get what we're doing and what we're hearing and what it's going to be like. What I don't understand or get is where the fuck do you go and against who and how? So that's why this next segment has to either have someone interfere, it's going to have somebody do something, it's going to have to involve challenging somebody. Something has to happen in this next one, or it's going to be that Lacey Evans segment of, okay, I got a minute, I can run to the fridge.
Yeah. Well, they need to like, because whoever like, if somebody just goes in and attacks them, like, they're gonna get a huge pop.
Yes.
And
They're going to pop their juices, for sure.
yes. But yeah, I just don't know.
Who the fuck would have a problem with these models in our current landscape of them?
See, I would say the Viking Raiders.
Yes.
But
They could get away with that for sure. We're vicious Vikings, and you guys are tennis ball players.
yeah,
Playing with your
exact
balls out
opposite.
here. Yeah.
Playing with your balls out here.
Yeah. Yeah. Because outside of that, I don't know who.
But I don't think you give the Viking Raiders that pop.
No.
Especially since you just turned a heel.
Yeah, you want a face to do it.
That's a really good call, too. Yeah, that's smart.
That's tough.
I mean, if you push like an Ali and Ricochet or something like that, maybe.
You don't think that they're going to try and get Los Lotharios to approach them saying they should be in it, get turned away, and start a feud because they're not one of the models?
Oh, God.
Maybe.
That makes so much. That could make so much sense. Why? Oh, God. Oh, God.
See, I think you pair them up at like a Survivor Series.
No.
Because I want traditional Survivor Series. I'm sick of this bullshit brand versus brand crap.
Yeah. Although, at this next Survivor Series, Roman Reigns versus Roman Reigns is going to be a great match.
Oh
And
my
Usos
God,
versus Usos.
Can you picture Roman just throwing himself around the ring?
Yeah.
Himself?
What is
Oh
it,
my
liar,
God.
liar style?
Yeah, liar style. Yeah, so my money is on the Los Lotharios are going to start a feud with the male models. That's my theory.
Like, that'd be... you have all this build-up and you bring it to that?
Yeah, well, I mean, something's got to happen.
You just gotta slowly start edging them. And I mean, mostly.
Oh, come on! Why you gotta say it like that? Trying to edge the male models.
Raw are going to be in the tag team, so you just kind of edge them into the. You just kind
God,
of
quit saying it. Quit saying you want to edge the models. Oh, I can't wait to be edging the models over here, dude. Jesus. Inappropriate. This guy's juices are titillated as it gets, and he was trying to say he doesn't like it, and the next thing he wants to do is edge them. Fuck.
I'm saying, if you want to get them to start competing, you just got to start throwing them against random people at this point.
Yeah, that's true. That could be true, too. Street Profits and Usos had a good thing going on. I think the last thing I wanted to talk about, though, specifically... I mean, we could talk about Street Profits for a second. A lot of people are going back and forth on it's Montez's time to go to singles. And a lot of people are saying, like, don't count Dawkins out. I'm going to be honest with you. As much as it makes me an asshole, I am completely ready to discount Dawkins. Like, he's the most annoying person in the group. Like, as annoyed as I get at Ford, the second Dawkins grabs a mic and starts going yeah for fucking 3 minutes, I mute my TV. He's the reason I don't get to hear Montez half the time. Yeah, because he's the literal most annoying and childlike of anyone on TV, including -1. So I can't get to the point of listening to Montez if Dawkins is still there, and I absolutely am being just honest and I guess a jerk, and I don't mean to be. I'm not impressed with what I see him do in the ring and everything, and it is just whatever it is. And to be honest, I'm more curious about what Montez Ford is going to bring moving forward, and I am not at all interested in what Dawkins is doing. I want you guys to tell me how I'm wrong or something. Start with Kev.
I think you're like onto it. Like, I've been wanting them to split up for a while. They might be, shuffling their feet a little because they've split up quite a few tag teams in the last few years. Mm-hmm. In my eyes, too early. So they might be saying, "Hey, let's take it slower with them." But yeah, I want to see Montez in singles competition. And yeah, I'd be okay. They could have a cool feud for a little bit. I'd want almost like a Marty Jannetty, Shawn Michaels type of turn.
Montez Ford said in an interview that he feels that although he is ready for a singles run, he doesn't want to break up the tag team, and he says that they'll stay together forever, and as long as a draft doesn't split them apart, which to me insinuating that they may be getting ready to do a draft in which they split them apart.
Okay.
But I agree with you. I'd like to see Montez Ford beat the shit out of Dawkins because that'd be super babyface to me.
Well, looks like I got to be the different guy here.
Go ahead, do it.
I want them to stay together. I really do. Like, with tag teams so limited as they are, you can't afford to take another team out at this point. Like, especially what happened on Raw. Like, but from what it's looking like, we don't have Dirty Dogs anymore. So it's like that's another team out the window. Everyone's talking about splitting Dom and Ray up, and then what? That's another team out the window. Now you're going to take this one out, and they're going to be another team out the window. So then what? The Usos have 4 teams to face while they're champions. Like, no, we can't afford to keep breaking teams up at this point. We got to start keeping some teams together. And as much as Dawkins is like way too over the top with his fucking thing, like it's got to be. It makes more sense to keep them together than lowering the tag division even more, because then it starts turning into like the women's worlds where it's just losing tag teams over and over and over again until eventually there's.
Well, see, I could definitely agree from where you're coming from there, but I also think that there's a bunch of tag teams that they could easily make and put together that they never do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I still want Sheamus and Drew as a fucking tag team.
That's true. Yeah. So are you telling me that you, Justin, that you love the team of Street Profits, or you just love that there is a team?
No, I love this Street Profits as a tag team. I've been a big fan. Like, as much as, like I said, as much as Dawkins is way too over the top, just the two of them together, I just love the Street Profits as a tag team, and I just can't see them going apart at this point. Like, if Montez does go singles, more than likely it'll just be like a New Day thing where they won't break up; they'll just stay together.
Yeah, I can see that.
See, I don't think you can do that with 2 people. I think the New Day can do that because they were 3. But
I mean, it worked while like Woods wasn't there, and they were doing it like they were running singles. So it's like I think they could do it with Street Profits. It would just Dawkins ain't gonna do much as a singles guy. Like Montez will mostly. So in the end, Dawkins will just be his like manager if he goes single.
Yeah, I can see that. Well, yeah, I don't know, man. Derek says, in the chat, all I care about for Survivor Series is Lashley versus Gunther. I didn't even think about that as a match.
Yes.
Can you imagine that? Like, fucking killer, dude.
I can't wait for that. I hope it ends in a no contest, just so neither one of them takes the loss.
But also, that's literally America versus Germany. You know what I mean? Like, who more USA than former Marine Bobby Lashley with the United States title? Against yeah, against evil Der Ring General.
Can't wait for that. I hope. Like I said, we got 5 months till that happens. Make it happen at this point.
I do want to get you guys' opinion on this, and we'll talk some Raw stuff. But we're not going to go through all the Raw. I already hit a bunch of the good Raw stuff. Anyways, Lacey Evans finally really put her fucking thumb down on I am a bad guy, coming out time after time, not getting the cheers that she wanted. She ultimately punched the shit out of her tag team partner. One of the bigger disappointments of the segment is that they told us we were going to get Shayna and Shotzi. We didn't get to see them at all. They were just a graphic, and that sucks. But I really personally felt like this version of Lacey Evans is something to sink her teeth into. And I felt like it was the most real she came across on the mic. Not that I think it's the most honest to who she is as a person or anything like that, but it was very natural the way that she spoke. She sounded the least scripted I've ever heard her talk and came across super believable in this. This is something I can totally get behind as a character to boo. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it's like, what's his name? Seth.
Yeah.
Like, Seth was, when he did his babyface thing, it was like, oh, this sucks, it's falling flat. He turned heel again, and it was like, cool, this is your natural spot. This is, where you should be. And, yeah, Lacey as a face just never made sense. Like, it was just not there.
And it felt like every time they got close to the Lacey as a face that could work, they would do just the right thing that would make it not work. You know what I mean? Like, it was so self-sabotaging where you go like, yes, former Marine, yes, crazy backstory, yes, survivor, fighter. Then they would give her a catchphrase or something that would just be like, and fuck everyone else. And you're like, whoa! You know what I mean? Like, every time they started getting close to the point where you're like, yes, I can cheer this person and support this person. They're virtually a hero. And then she'd be like, and you're all bitches. And you'd be like, okay, sharp left turn. So I feel like this was something where she's able to utilize all of those things. We talked about it before, even that even with her promo segments, her story segments, that she was 1 or 2 sentences away from just being ultra bad guy. And I feel like she just went ahead and leaned into those 2 or 3 sentences. I also loved that she called the audience fat without calling the audience fat. She actually said it in a clever way. And a lot of heels nowadays say the easy thing. You're all ugly and fat. I'm in shape. She said she was embarrassed by them that they wouldn't stand up and asked if they were weighed down by biscuits and brisket. And I was like, what a clever way to say you fat sons of bitches didn't stand up for me. Like, I loved it. I loved that line because I was like, yes, that's how you can say a typical thing a non-typical way. That's how you that's a good heel. Those are the heel lines that I expect to hear out of, like, MJF. MJF still says a lot of street things. You're all ugly. She's going to say, I don't even like looking at you because XYZ. You know what I mean? Like, these are the kinds of lines I look for in the nowadays. These are the kind of lines that Edge was missing. You know what I mean? When I was talking about how he was taking the easy digs. These are the easy digs in a clever way that makes you go, it's the same old, but sounds better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Justin, what do you think of this new Lacey Evans? You cheering her?
See, I'm not crazy for Lacey no matter what she is, really. Like, this just did nothing for me. Like, I know they tried to push her as a face because they told her story, but it just didn't feel like, it just felt forced.
Yeah.
Just how they were trying to get her over as a baby face. And now it's just like, well, nobody was going to root for her, so they just put her back as a heel, and it was just like, it almost felt like all for nothing.
It was.
Well, see, I think
Go ahead.
I think they realized that it was falling flat.
Yeah.
Because, we went to, the live events and SmackDown a couple weeks ago, and her stuff came out, and, she was supposed to be this, huge baby face and get the crowd, excited, and, like, everyone just, like, watched her. They didn't, like, boo, they didn't cheer, they just sat there.
Sat on their hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it was pretty cool being in the audience at SmackDown and hearing the crowd be so loud on certain things. I thought was very cool to see, especially with the amount of people. I think the Thunderdome broke a lot of fans in that once they started using like fan noise, now all these fans are being like, see, they always tune in their own fan noise. And I was like, no, it's just that they used real recordings of fans, right? Because now I see people talk about what they see on SmackDown and say, what a shame they keep piping in all this fan noise and that's not what's happening in the crowd. But it's people at home saying that because it sounds like what they heard in the Thunderdome. Again, they used real recordings of audience members for those. So, yeah, it's probably going to sound similar if the crowd is booing the same way, right? Being in the audience, the only time I've ever seen it where I was like, this is definitely something's up was that whole Bayley thing. Bayley and Ronda. Bayley was over like crazy at that Raw after Rumble, and they actually softened the crowd noise. They didn't add in noise that wasn't there. They just brought the volume way down so you couldn't hear how loud the crowd was being for Bayley. I remember being annoyed at that.
Yeah.
But you go to SmackDown and you hear these people cheering and booing and doing all this stuff, and then you go online and see people being like, "Look at the audience wasn't even moving." Well, because you don't have to move to say boo. And it's hot in Arizona. We're not trying to move. We're enjoying the AC. But yeah, I like this version of Lacey. I think this could be the thing for her. This could be the thing. She's a bitch.
Yeah. I mean, I talked to producer lady, and we just want I hope she changes the gear too.
Yeah, the gear's a little weird.
Just full makeover, lean into it all the way, and but we'll see.
I liked her Money in the Bank gear, that pink and black kind of camo thing with the kind of camo face paint thing. I liked it. I thought it was close enough to something in between, Let's talk a little bit about Raw, and we'll wrap up the dive bar. Something I forgot to mention on the top, though, and since we're doubling back to Raw, the top of that was Brock and Paul, and the top of SmackDown was Roman and Paul. And I don't know if people are always going to talk about how great Paul Heyman is, because you can't deny that. But something I don't know that was super evident until I kind of scoped back and watched both today. It was literally Paul Heyman versus Paul Heyman on the mic.
Yeah.
The same way that you would get two people on two different shows talking shit about the other person, Paul was the one talking on both of them primarily. The other guy said their piece, but the highlight of this was on SmackDown, Paul Heyman telling Roman he's going to have to be more vicious and more dominant than he's ever been to win. And then on Raw, Paul was putting over how incredibly vicious and I don't know other word I use besides vicious. It's already gone. But how vicious and how catered this match is to Brock. He was sitting there on SmackDown saying Roman's got this and it's going to be the toughest match of his career. He's on Raw saying, Brock, I believe in you. It's going to be the toughest match of your career. And then was still able to slide in, but this might not be the Roman you're expecting. You know what I mean? Paul Heyman went up against Paul Heyman on the mic in only a way you could fan book at this point. This was fan fantasy. What if Paul Heyman had to fight against Paul Heyman on the mic? Well, we just saw it, and it was incredible. That's why he gets 2 spots in the Mount Rushmore of talkers.
The SmackDown version and the Raw version.
Yep, you get SmackDown Heyman and Raw Heyman, and those are 2 spots on the Mount Rushmore. Only Paul Heyman can do a promo against himself and win.
Come out on top.
And I'm honestly more excited about this match than I have been. I didn't think it was going to be a bad match. I didn't know if I was thrilled about seeing another Brock Roman. I do think people over-exaggerate how often we see the match. They always want to list every match they've ever seen and don't realize they're listing 6 years of matches. And they average about one match a year. It's not done to death. And there's years where they didn't have a match. So it's like, we might get 2 in 1 year, 0 in 1 year, but this goes back since 2015. So what's that, 7 years actually? 7 years, 8 matches, 9 matches now. Relax. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't this isn't Buffy the Vampire Slayer against the same villain every week. You know what I mean? Like, that's not what we're doing. But at the same time, we did just have it not that long ago, so it's a little close. And the one before that one was a little close. We're getting them kind of like once every 6 months at this point, and that's a little closer than I think that we like, or that we're comfortable with. So I agree with that. But they're really pushing home this last man standing thing, and I think that we could see something a little bit different here.
Yeah, I mean, they keep saying, the last time and, stuff like that as well. So,
yeah.
I do think we, as of right now, yes, this is going to be the pinnacle of Brock versus Roman.
I think so, too.
And I do think we're going to get something different, something, I think we are going to get something vicious. We are going to get the, not quite a death match, obviously, but,
yeah, light tubes.
An actual hardcore match that we haven't, that we see every once in a while in WWE.
That's a good point. All the matches that Roman and Brock have had have varying degrees of viciousness. But outside of the cage match, I don't remember any real gimmick matches that used much for weapons at all. And even then, the gimmick match of the cage, I think, was the cage. I don't think they used weapons in the match. We might just go ahead and see Brock Lesnar do the match that Dean Ambrose wanted to do and couldn't do with him. And that could be fucking cool, man.
Yeah.
Do you think that WWE is willing to use blood in this match?
Yeah.
I think they should, even though I'm not crazy for this match. I think this match needs color. It needs something big and different, because it needs to feel different than their other matches right now. Because every match so far they've had, it just feels the same over and over and over again. Like, they need to do something different here. Like, if this is legit, like, I don't believe it's the final confrontation between these two. They'll more than likely meet somewhere down the road again.
Yeah,
but
of course.
If you're gonna make it feel like it's the last one, go all out at this point.
Yes. Yep, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I think this would be a, last man standing, 2 monsters. Like, I do think you get you come out with the blood and, make it look vicious.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it would be a good time to do it. I think it reminds me of the Roman Brock match where Roman hit him with the elbow. And I think you could do something like that here and get away with it. And I do think that WWE does not overdo the blood the way that AEW does. I'm not the only one who's given them that criticism, for the record. But I do think
I just realized they've both only bled in 2 matches with each other.
Yeah.
That was their WrestleMania match where Seth cashed in, Brock bleeds, and then the match at WrestleMania where Brock freaking busts him open the way with his elbow. So,
yeah.
Well, then there's that Madison Square Garden. It wasn't a match, but
yeah, that was just the beat down after.
But they had that. They used that as a focal point and like showed it, all the time. So if you get something similar to that, like, yeah, I think it drives home the point.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy for the match. I'm over the 2 of these guys fighting each other over and over. Like, even if it's got a gap between it, I'm just tired of seeing these 2 because nothing comes out different half the time. But like I said, if this match is gonna like legit quote be their final encounter, make it different and just go all out.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it. They have it in their power to do what they wouldn't normally do, and that's what I think they should do.
Yes.
And if
Do you
it
think
turns out,
Sammy gets involved?
I think Sammy hasn't been involved for too long. I think that the last couple of weeks not having Sammy do something has been suspicious. So I wouldn't be against it for 1 second, no.
I'm just, thinking like he's trying to prove himself to the bloodline and whatnot, and has his past with Brock, so I think it'd be hilarious. Not hilarious, but
what if Sammy tries to stop Theory from cashing in and ends up costing Roman? We could get something like that.
Roman's laying in the corner. Sammy's freaking Theory slides in, gets in the corner, and Sammy just kicks him. That'd be great.
Mm-hmm. That'd be amazing.
That'd be wonderful.
Honorary Uce right there. We the ones. Let's see. Let's keep going through some of it. Finn Balor, Rey Mysterio. Great match. I love these two together. I just don't know what we're doing with Judgment Day anymore.
Yeah, it's a shell of itself anymore. Honestly, it just feels like it's got no direction anymore. Right?
There's something weird about it because I also feel like Finn Balor's got a new look that I think is awesome. I like him and Damian together. So much of it's working, and somehow it still comes off flat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just retribution all over again. There's like so much excitement and stuff like that, and I think they need, you said it, like I like them both together. I think they work well together, but I think they need a third piece, especially with Rhea out and, obviously they kicked Edge out, but I think they need at least a third piece.
Yeah, maybe that's part of it too. They kicked out Edge and then Rhea got hurt, so it just isn't what it was. Like, we're not in a feud with Edge. We're just doing this weird Mysterios thing, and it's just a tag team now. It's not the faction that it was before. That might be exactly what's missing about it. But it was a good match, and I think those guys are awesome together.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what we do with Dominic. Do you think Dominic joins the Judgment Day? Leaves Ray behind that way instead of actually turning on his dad necessarily and having some sort of title there? Like, you just do straight up Judgment Day?
I can't see Dom ever turning on his dad at this point. I just don't think they're ever going to do it. And if even then, you'd have to make it make sense. It can't just be a random thing happening like that. Like, him joining Judgment Day is just a weird thought. I just don't see Dom fitting in Judgment Day.
Is it because of his stupid haircut?
No, I just don't see him fitting in there at all. Like, I don't look at Damian Priest, who looks like this dark, evil character, Finn Balor, who we know is a dark, evil character when he wants to be, and then you see Dominic Mysterio. They literally cue one of these things is not like the other thing.
Yeah, plus Finn Balor has abs like chicken breasts taped to his stomach. You know what I mean? Like, if you were to put a bunch of chicken breasts on your stomach, it would look like Finn Balor's abs. They're just so pronounced and supple. And then you have Dominic with these flimsy little arms and shitty haircut. It does feel a little fish out of water.
Yeah.
Well, I want them to, like, bring back LWO.
I'm not against that at all.
They need to bring that back officially. Maybe throw the Los Arias in with them. And...
You know what they could do, and it would work, is if Dom joins Judgment Day, not turning on Ray, but just says, Dad, I don't see any other way about this. I need them to leave you alone, and they're not going to leave you alone unless I'm with them. Just let me go. And he joins them. And then Mysterio recruits Legado del Fantasma and creates a new LWO to entice Dominic back. You could do something like that.
Would Santos still be the leader, though, is the question. Because I don't see Santos being a side piece. He'd have to be the leader.
I don't like the way you keep saying edging and side piece and stuff like that. Like... Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think you'd have a more interesting dynamic if you have a leader Santos with Godfather Ray. Maybe Ray takes kind of a step back, but more of a managerial role over them almost. Like, hey, trust me and my insight. When he's got to get in there and do it, he can. But for all intents and purposes, Santos is the one stepping in front of Ray to get the job done, you know?
Ray being the Godfather, Ray sitting at a desk. He's got his mask off, sitting on the table with Santos and everyone looking at him.
No, mask on with a fedora over the mask.
I'd rather just see it where you can't see his face. Just have the mask off the entire time.
Oh yeah, just the camera shots from the neck down, but the mask is on the table.
Mask is sitting on the table. Yeah, that'd be great.
It'd be sick, so sick. All right, so we went through almost everything. There's only like a couple things I want to throw out there. I thought the women did awesome in Raw. Bliss and Asuka against Nikki and Doudrop, I thought was a really good match. Where everyone, I thought everyone did fantastic in it. But the only thing I wonder is, are they teasing about keeping tag teams alive? Because they also never mentioned on commentary one time about the women's tag titles or women tag teams specifically. It was just here for women fighting in a tag team match. I didn't hear anything that alluded to the idea of the tag championships, and I thought it was interesting and notable because you had one established women's tag team and one new women's tag team fighting for no stakes. So I felt like this is the time now more than ever that you would mention the concept of those tag titles. Maybe you'd even on commentary say, look at they're establishing their footing for whenever that tournament starts to crown a new tag champion. They want to be ready. But they didn't tease any of it. So I thought that was really peculiar and made this match seem relatively unimportant, even though that people did well, you know?
Just throw them together.
Yeah. I thought it was a missed opportunity to make it sound important. Yeah. Which was also the whole reason of having the tag titles to begin with, was to no longer have tag matches for the sake of tag matches. You know? Bayley and Sasha talked about it over and over again. They wanted, with all the random women tag matches that they kept having, they wanted there to be a reason for all of it. And that was what made those tag titles so important, was it gave the mid-card a fighting division to go after something. Even if it was like tag teams thrown together and ripped apart all the time, there was a reason why they would, you know?
Yeah, but then they had those tag matches that had the women tag implications on their number one contenderships, and then they never did anything with the winners.
Yeah, they did not follow through. Not one bit. No.
My thing with the tag titles is, looking at it, I just go, I don't know. I still don't see a reason for them. They, as much as like it does make the tag team, like the tag matches, feel like they're actually have a purpose. It's just like, it's so weird because it's like when you have those tag titles, you're making teams, but then like lowering the singles division. But then when the singles division needs people, you're taking out of the tag team division. So it's like a double-edged sword almost.
I've always felt that it was the women's mid-card title, that instead of having a women's intercontinental, you have the women's tag, and then you have 4 women at a time that you can get on TV to work through whatever growing pains as you launch them into the title picture, and have a safe place for women who are no longer in the title picture to land and still seem important. That it felt kind of like a best of both worlds to me. You do 4 women at a time in the mid-card and prepping them for the world title, but you only have one world title, and they only have so many women. Like, as much as it was cool to see Money in the Bank have a 50-50 card where half the matches were women, half were men, that was literally every woman they got. You know? Like, from both brands. They don't do women's lumberjack matches, not because they never want to, but because they literally don't have the people to surround the ring. They just have a thin roster. And I think they should fill it out more. I think that you bring them up from NXT, you know, but it is what it is, right?
That's what I'm saying. The whole releasing people thing was probably one of the biggest, like, shitty things they could have done, because it just depleted the rosters on both sides.
Maybe. Kev?
Well, I was going to say, I think you need the women's tag titles now more than ever. Just because you have Roman that doesn't show up, and, you know, he's got the 2 main titles. Then you got the men's tag team titles, both on the Usos. And, you know, you you only have the U.S. and Intercontinental and the women's titles after that.
Yep.
So I think you need them, just to show some gold on TV.
Yeah, and realistically, with Sasha and Naomi as champion, like those were two fan favorites. So seeing them out there against anyone would have popped the crowd. You know what I mean? So I agree. Whoever you put them on, especially if it's babyface champions, like it's big for visibility's sake.
That's why I think you need to go back to doing the whole. It goes on all three brands. Like I don't see why NXT needs their own version of tag titles. Just go back to it going on all three brands.
Yes.
Again.
Yeah, I'd be into that.
But then it would have been cool because then you would have had at Survivor Series, you could have had the NXT Women's Champions versus the WWE Women's Champions.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool. But they never did that. They should have. They just never did.
They had the opportunity to. It's just they only had NXT in there one time, and that was it. Like, come on.
Yeah. All right. Almost there. Usos and Omos against Street Profits and R-Truth. Dude, the promo segment leading into this match was so much fucking fun.
Truth is gold for a reason. Absolutely.
And then the match itself was like not a bad match. Obviously, all the people in there are good at what they do. But just for me, the promo segment leading into it was a lot funnier than I thought it would be. As much as I like R-Truth all the time and think he's an awesome person, sometimes his stuff gets a little too silly and I'm just not laughing at all of it. This was one that like you could see the jokes before they hit and it was still funny. It was good.
I was just happy he was wrestling. That's all I cared because it was like we don't see R-Truth wrestle enough, and we finally got him wrestling. That's all I cared. I was happy.
Yep.
Yeah.
What do you think about Miz and Ciampa and AJ Styles and Zeke? Miz and Ciampa have been getting teased as being a team more or less for like the last 4 months. So I was a little surprised by people online being like, "When did this happen?" And you're like, "For fucking months, they've been circling each other." Like, it's not the craziest thing. It seems like just a weird spot in the card, and I don't understand the point of it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know who was served on this.
There's just nothing going on with Ciampa. Like,
yeah,
it just
true.
sucks. Now he's all like, now he's Miz's lackey, and I can't stand it. I can't look at
and
Ciampa.
A shitty lackey.
Yeah, I can't look at him and just see him siding with the Miz. I look at Tommaso Ciampa as the guy who would, like, if he looked the Miz's direction, he'd rip his eyes out.
Yeah.
Not looks at him and goes, "Don't worry, I got your back."
Yeah, he's a shitty lackey who never wins matches and suddenly is obsessed with being around the Miz. I don't get it. And I don't hate it necessarily, but I'm not into it at all. You know what I mean? I guess we just see what happens with it. And then there's only two other things left, really. Bianca and Carmella, and then we'll end with what ended the show. But Bianca and Carmella ultimately gets the win by countout because of a distraction from Becky that Bianca was not able to get out because, as we've been shown time and time again, Becky's the smartest. She can outwit Bianca every time. And she did it again.
So dumb.
It's so funny. I thought it was good, though, because there was also part of it that if they did it right, and they were pretty close on it, Bianca has champion's advantage. If she loses to countout, oh well, I get to keep my title. And if she's more concerned about Becky than she is about Carmella, then Carmella gets the win. Bianca shows that she's more serious about Becky, and Becky looks like she's outsmarted the champ. You continue a 3-person rivalry there where you can go multiple directions with it for multiple more matches. I think they did a pretty good job of getting pretty close to that. I think I would have liked Bianca at least taking a swing at Becky to be all like, look, I might lose this match, but I'm not going to lose my title, and I'm not going to take shit from you. But I think Carmella is someone who's vastly underrated. I don't think she gets the flowers that she deserves. She is next level obnoxious. Her scream and cackle are absurdly obnoxious. Like, you hear it and you can't help but be like, shut up. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and she did an awesome job here too. Even Carmella, as a character, would know that she's not winning the title, but she would grab the title and throw it in Bianca's face because she's taunting her. Look it, I might as well be the champion. I won. You know what I mean? Because Carmella also didn't like throw a hissy fit and look confused and cry that they took the title away from her. She was mocking Bianca by holding up that title at the end, saying, "What makes you the champion? I won." You know what I mean? Like, she's obnoxious and she's an asshole. And I think that people don't give her the credit she deserves at all. So I loved this match all around. I loved the Becky Lynch interaction. I think these are three of the best women in the business right now, doing what they do, telling stories.
Yeah, that's just great. I don't get, again, I'm in that same boat. I don't give Carmella enough props as it is. I'm not crazy for her half the time, but she gives me those moments where I just go, way to go, Carmella. All right. Like, this was one of them right here. She did fantastic. She's great in there. It's just, again, the whole Bianca looking stupid. Like, she literally was about to get back in the ring and then just goes, "Ooh, you know what? Me, Jack, and Becky's more important right now." And I'm like, no, get in there. Like, she looked kind of dumb. Carmella looked kind of dumb holding the title up. But it was like, I'm just kind of, I don't know. I'm just disappointed that we're running this back again because you have so little options left to challenge Bianca. So we're just running back Becky. But we're also keeping Carmella in there when it almost felt like that was just over with. It's just, I don't know.
Do you think we get a triple threat at SummerSlam?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I think that whole thing that happened with Carmella winning by count out and Becky just saying, "Hey, this should be me being back in this match," that means triple threat. I just see triple threat more than anything.
Yeah. Well, and, like, I won't complain if there's a triple threat match, you know, between the three. I don't like how consistently they make Bianca look dumb.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, she does a shit all the time where it's like, why? Like, that's stupid. You know, and I don't understand why they do that. Because they make her look dumb often. Almost every feud that she's in, there's like 2 or 3 times where it's in a match and it's, you know, you're just like, you're fucking stupid, you know?
Yeah. And it's not like they're even playing it up that she's emotional and gets in her feelings and makes bad calls because of stuff like that. Like, because if they played into that kind of thing too, then you can kind of excuse it from time to time. Be like, oh, look, they know that if they push her buttons, she's going to lose her focus. They play it as though she keeps her focus. You know what I mean? That she is the smart one. So, like, yeah, it's pretty annoying at a certain point where it's all like, either play into her being too emotional about this particular feud, or stop making her look dumb. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
there's got to be a way around it. You know. But outside of that, I think that they're awesome, and I think that it's easy to hate Carmella. I think that's amazing. We've talked about it before. We were in the room for the SummerSlam. That whole audience, when Becky made her return, was ready to blow the roof off for Becky because of the stage that Carmella set. Carmella walked out and was just sucking the air out of the room like a fucking vacuum. And everything she did was just more and more annoying to be like, are you fucking serious? And by the time we heard the man's music hit, the whole crowd had nothing in their lungs at all but to breathe it all in and blow up because Carmella does her job like no one else, you know? Let's wrap it up on the end of it. We did have Riddle and Bobby against Seth Rollins and Theory. We did talk a little bit before about Seth Rollins and Theory having their moment in the back. But the big thing here was Dolph Ziggler showed up in the middle of this match, sits ringside, knocks Theory's feet off the rope while he's trying to illegally get leverage during a pin, which causes the dumbass Theory to lose the match because he can't understand what's happening anymore. He loses the match. Ziggler comes in, super kicks the head right off of Theory, and holds his fist up high. Did we just fucking get a babyface Dolph Ziggler? The dude's handle is literally at heel Ziggler. What is happening here? Because you don't punch or kick Theory in the face without getting cheered, and even this had the crowd, I felt like, confused. I feel like they wanted to cheer, but they felt like they should boo, and they didn't know what was happening. And I'm at home just being like, I guess tune in next week? What the fuck just happened?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was so random, just mid-match, and all of a sudden, here comes Dolph Ziggler. Hey, nice seeing you, Dolph. We haven't seen you in like months. Like,
Yeah.
what the hell?
And why?
Just shows up. I was so confused. And then, like, when he kicks Theory, when he helped, like, screwed Theory over and then kicked him, I'm just looking at it going, I'm like, are they just trying to get Theory over or something? Like, are they trying to tell us we should like Theory? Here you go.
No.
We'll have him face Dolph Ziggler. And I was like, no, don't tell me that's a thing.
No, I can't believe this is a babyface turn for Theory. He's too fucking obnoxious naturally. It's too easy to hate him. Like a Max Dupree.
He gave me weird vibes like that. And I was just like, if it's not, it's weird as hell that just Dolph is here and just wants to beat up Theory. Like, it was just weird. But it was like, it gave me that weird vibe that it was just, you should just really like Theory, so we'll have Dolph beat him up. And I was like, oh, I don't know. That's so weird.
I don't think so. And I think the same way that like Max Dupree is introduced to every crowd, every time he's entered any new company, he comes in as a heel because you see him and you want to hate him because he looks like he's too good looking, he's in too good a shape, he moves too clean. This guy hasn't struggled for a thing in his life is what the impression you get. Same thing with Austin Theory. These are dudes who have to like prove themselves to win over a crowd because the crowd wants to hate them from the second they show up. I don't see this as a Theory babyface turn, but I guess the next promo is really gonna take us there. What do you think about the idea of a Theory Dolph Ziggler? It feels like fucking out of nowhere in the middle of all this. Theory's in a U.S. title shot. He's got the Money in the Bank. He's got Roman and Brock, and now he's got Ziggler.
It's too much too soon, honestly.
It's a lot of stuff. Kev, what were you gonna say?
Well, my initial reaction was, yeah, I think they're doing this to get Theory over. You know, Dolph is one of the best in the company, and you've seen everyone that Theory has worked with, you know, so far. So it's like, all right, you know, just put another guy to, you know, elevate him. And I thought it might have been like I said initially, hey, we should feel bad for Theory type of thing because Dolph is, you know, just naturally or always been a heel pretty much.
Yeah.
But then when I started thinking about it, I'm like, all right, I think Dolph is going to cause, at least the way I'm thinking, Dolph is going to cause Theory to lose his U.S. rematch, and he's going to try and go after the Money in the Bank. I think Dolph is going to sit there and pick on him and pick on him and pick on him, basically. And Theory keeps saying, hey, I want, revenge or whatever against you. And Dolph playing Dolph, which can still be a heel, sitting there saying, well, you have nothing to offer me in a match except for that. The only way you'll get me in a ring is with that.
I mean,
but that's,
yeah.
You know, that's the only thing I keep
It's not
a confusing situation.
Yeah.
It's not often you can get two heels in a match that people are going to be behind because it's like, oh, I want both people to lose. How am I supposed to give a shit? But I think Dolph is so heavily respected that I think you could go in there with two people being assholes and you still want one of them to win, but it doesn't mean you're going to cheer him on the other side. It just means you hate the other guy worse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Although, in fairness to Dolph, one of my favorite storylines Dolph has ever been involved in was the Intercontinental storyline with him and The Miz, where Dolph was putting his career on the line, and he was an ultra babyface there. Mm-hmm. It's still one of my favorite of the one. It's my all-time favorite Miz storyline ever, and it's my favorite Miz match was Miz versus Dolph on that one SmackDown. So I'm not going to discount the guy's ability to make it work as a babyface or whatever. Obviously, the dude's been doing this longer than fucking most for a reason. You know what I mean? The reason that, I mean, no one's ever shocked when they see a list of names of being releases to not see Dolph on there, even though he's one of those, like, quote, mid-carders for life type. He's just so fucking good, and you can plug him into any concept ever. So I don't want to discount him at all, but it does feel weird at first glance to me.
Yeah.
I mean, Theory and Ziggler as a match, I'm all in for that. That match is going to be outstanding.
That's a good point. And Theory's probably got a good chunk to learn from a guy like Dolph.
Yeah.
You know? Dolph's been doing it longer than Theory's been alive, so far as my calculations are concerned.
I think you're actually correct about those
Probably,
calculations.
Yeah, I might be right. So yeah, I'm excited about the idea of Dolph and Theory in a sense. I'm also confused by it, but that's why we keep tuning in, because I have to. I need it. It's in my blood. Anything else on any of the things that you guys thought we missed that you guys want to throw out there or talk about that I missed?
No.
Yeah, no.
No? All right. Fuck it. Well, Justin, thank you for coming through the dive bar of the IWC and having a drink with us and being one of our OG drinking buddies from back in an episode 1 or 2, if I remember correctly. You want to tell people where to find out more about you and your rants and your raves and your keeping the legacy of terrible wrestling takes alive?
I mean, you can find. I mean, now we got the show. I'm just happy we got the show. Like, it just feels so weird that Bishop was one of those people to tell me, encourage me, go do the show, and then he's gone, and I'm like, son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Like, it's like terrible timing if I ever thought so. Like, my God. But again, I'm so happy I have the show now. It's just, I'm glad I got to come back on here. It feels like forever since last time I got to come on here. Impromptu visits are always great. You can find, like you said, we got the In Time Wrestling Podcast. That's me and my brother. We just go on rants half the time. But it's just our way of dissecting wrestling. You know, if you like listening to people rant just for the hell of it, listen to our show. We don't always just rant. So we give praise to what needs to be praised, what we want to praise, and that's it. Like,
yeah,
it's just me and my brother having fun talking wrestling. That's it.
It's a different style. There's a lot of guys who go online and rant and rave because of how much they adamantly hate stuff, but I feel like all of your guys' rants between you and your brother come from a place of loving it so much that you get disappointed when things aren't going the way you want it to, or when you know something could be better, or when it's just on the cusp of being great and they miss the mark. Then that's when you guys rant, is because you love it so much, you don't like to be disappointed, and that's the heart that you're bringing to it, and that's the heart of the legacy that will be. You guys may be the ultimate legacy of the Terrible Wrestling Takes podcast with Bishop, was that he made sure you guys did your thing to hold that legacy alive, to be those people with a big heart, to love it enough to be upset when it could be better, but also not be filled with hate and disdain for things like so much of the other ones tend to do. But yeah, I agree with you. Hopefully we can hear from Bishop as a guest cameo, either in the Dive Bar or in the In Time Wrestling Podcast. But until then, you're going to have to deal with us, your drinking buddies, the IIRonics, at Ref Marsh and at Kevlar on the Rocks. Kev, any final words?
Nope.
Yeah, sounds right to me. That's how he does. He's a man of no words.
Man of very few words.
Yep. Guys, we'll be back tomorrow night. Me and Miss Amanda Jane, and maybe a clump if our litter box is full, to break down some AEW and NXT. And boy, did NXT have a couple of really nice flubs last night that I can't wait to talk about. But that's going to be for tomorrow night here in the Dive Bar of the IWC. Guys, that's last call.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Hey, producer lady here. Thanks for tuning in. Continue to support us or buy us a drink by following and putting the I and subscribe on Twitch. Or subscribe and review our podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to.
I would never have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.